sing it, they can feel it, they can even dance to it. You know, it's theirs.
And relationships, so the way you can make kind of authentic connections, that could have lots of different meanings, I think. There could be with discussions within the class with different students of a point raised through music that they might be going through, or some kind of connection to the singer and the message within the song.
And then meaning, purposeful existence, meaning becomes meaningful. So the theme behind the song, the message in the song, now has personal meaning for that individual. And in a way, it helps them to maybe understand their issue a little better. It may offer some insight into how to deal with it. It almost empowers them to feel better about a situation in their life.
I think the perm, the first four, are a bit of a no-brainer. You can see that easily relating. Maybe the other one, maybe it's not so easy to work out, but achievement, a sense of accomplishment. I mean, one way in which you can do that is by the activities that you bring out connected with it. Something where they end up achieving something. It could be something relatively simple, albeit will be very important, I think, for the student, where you're reconstructing a song, or you're changing the ending, or something where they feel that they've not just kind of listened, but they've been involved in the whole process.
Right. So this bag of issues, I actually saw this on a Facebook post, and I thought it was really interesting. But it's a nice little activity that you can use with your students to find out anonymously what problems they may face or encounter. So Chris is giving you a little post-it. I would like you to pretend to be a student and think about an issue that you might face personally, or if you can't think of one, think of something your students might face. I'd like you to write it down. It doesn't have to be very long. Take it, crunch it up, okay? Now normally what you would do is throw it away. So you take your issue, your personal issue, you throw that away from you. But for today, we will just collect it.
Yes, and not everyone has a pen, so if anybody's got a spare pen, pass around. John's looking for one at the back.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah, we have got some spare pens.
We've got pens.
Take it.
Sure.
Anybody? Yeah.
So the
Okay,
point
you ready?
is, yeah, so you've got your issue, yeah, it's on your paper, you scrunch it up. Your students would either throw it to the front of the class, or you can collect it in a bag, or they can throw it to the door and say, out goes my problem. But for today, I think we will just collect the issues back, okay? And then we will have a look at them to see what comes out of it, what sort of issues come up. Okay.
So just to clarify, this is what you'd be doing with your students, but you're welcome to do this for yourself. It'll be anonymous. Like, you won't be able to tell who's handwriting it is anyway.
The key thing about this exercise is not just getting to know your students, but then you can now use this information to plan your lessons ahead. You can decide what you're going to do with this little bit of information now about your students. Okay.
And when you're done, feel free to sort of throw it in this direction.
You're going to take your hat and collect.
Oh, that's a good point, isn't it? Yeah. I think, did you explain in the classroom that you get students to throw it towards the door or towards the wall or something symbolic?
Good.
Maybe. It's like I'm collecting. I'll come around the end for money.
Oh, my issue is my mind goes blank.
Don't want to rush you too much. Anyone's ready? I'll come round.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. That's great. This is an example of activity that Carol's tried out before. No essays, please. Just simply scrunch it up, symbolically scrunch it up. Get rid of that. Lovely. Is everyone done?
Okay.
Terrific.
Right,
Okay.
so let's have
We
a
will
pick.
try and look at those as
Okay.
things come along. So, we haven't had quite time to look at those yet, but we will do. Carol's going to start while I'm looking through this. But here's one we made earlier, as they used to sell in various children's TV programs, of serious issues that students in your class may be experiencing. And what we'd like you to do is we'd like to put you in groups, which might actually be sort of quite small groups, 2 or 3, given the amount of people here, to see if you can think of one example song, right, that addresses this issue. So we actually need 5 groups. So I'm not too sure how that might work, but maybe 3 or so would be good. So would you three like to work together? Two would be okay? Yeah. We need no more than 5 groups, so this could be 1, 2, yeah, would you like to join? Are you with that group? So 3, 4, 5.
Thank you.
Great.
The group here, is it? Yeah. 1, 2, 3. We have 5 groups, right?
Yeah, 5 groups, yeah, it needs to be 5.
So all you have to do really is discuss and try to find one song. Are we going to give you numbers each? Sorry. So this group, you've got numbers 1 and 2. This group, you've got numbers 3 and 4. I don't know how the groups are divided here. You've got 5 and 6. You've got 7 and 8. You've got 9 and 10.
So they're just thinking of a song, right?
Yeah, that's all we have.
I think just we're going to really stick on the screen and say how much they're going visual.
Obviously, that sounds like material.
So you've got what you've got to do. So you've got numbers 1 and 2. I think you've got this one, just one for each area. So yeah. So we haven't given the numbers here, have we? It needs to be one with numbers on it. Why didn't that happen?
Because we're coming back to the end.
No, but they need to know which ones they're doing. Okay, so numbers 1 and 2 are the top 2. I hope you haven't been working on the wrong one. So 3 is addiction, 4 is loneliness. You've got 5 and 6, mental health issues, lack of self-esteem, confidence, similar-ish themes. You 2 at the back, you've got 7 and 8, environmental concerns, worries, relationship difficulties. And you 4, you've got the last 2. Okay, I didn't know what this was. We come back for
Only because you don't see it. I should put numbers on it. That number's there. This is still running because, isn't it?
I don't know why.
Mine's still
Right, so you've got 1 for each. That's fine. We're going to sort of just talk through that and come back to it a bit later. Have you got 1 for 3 and 1 for 4? Not using that side at the moment. At the moment, all you have to do is just think of an example of number 3 and an example of number 4. So a song that sort of fits the theme. It doesn't matter too much because you'll get something from the rest of but the best thing is that it comes from you because you can work on it later. But any song that sort of in English obviously that relates to hopefully other people, for example, you know the song.
Oh yeah, big world.
You've got one example? Yeah,
So many.
Lovely having with us.
We'll go through very quickly. Okay, folks, I think everybody has come or nearly come to just one quick example. So the group here doing number 1, abuse and exploitation. What song did you think of under that topic?
Well, we thought of one in a kind of slightly ironic way, which was a Rihanna song, "Work." But then we just spoke about with regards to abuse, specifically domestic abuse.
Okay.
"Stand by Your Man." by
Right.
Rihanna.
Very good choice, very interesting. And number 2?
Number 2, we went for Michael Jackson, "Black or White."
We're going to see a bit more Michael later as well. Okay. That's good. Excellent. So number 3 then being addiction.
We went with Rehab by Amy Winehouse.
Okay, yeah. No.
And for loneliness, we did Lonely by Akon.
Okay, right. Oh, I'm pretty bit too old to know what that is. Oh, no, oh yeah. I'm sure it's great. Did you manage to cover any others? Just maybe.
So like maybe Uptown Funk, that's portrays confidence.
Okay, so that's for number 6. What was the name again?
Uptown Funk.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, okay, good. So, yeah. And did you manage to think of anything connected with mental health issues? Can anybody think of anything off? There are loads, really.
Slightly manic, even.
Yeah. Depends, I suppose, how controversial you want to be, how you want to approach it. You've got lots of, like Johnny Cash, Hurts, R.E.M., Everybody Hurts, Nirvana, Lithium, if you think they're into that. I've got video by India Irie about sort of self-belief. Sia, a few transplant Australian singer Sia. So group of 2 at the back, you've got environmental concerns or worries.
There's probably loads that we could think of. We had Earth Song, Michael Jackson.
Right.
And then a same song that I used to use back in the 90s, Salt Water by Julian Lennon. I don't know whether you remember that.
Yeah.
It was a different environmental problem.
Excellent.
It worked great.
Great.
Yeah.
Obviously John Lennon's son, for those of you not familiar. Brilliant. And for relationship difficulties, obviously that's quite a broad thing, but the whole broad brush thing.
We talked about any or almost all of the Taylor Swift songs. And
Shake It Off, this is probably the only one I know. Yeah.
and The Jar of Hearts by Christina Aguilera.
Okay. What's the name again?
Jar of Hearts.
Do you know? Okay,
Very
brilliant. Obviously, the idea is these come from your students. You explore them later. Some of you might be like me and not know which it is. Okay, so moving over to number 9, of poverty and money worries.
Feed the world, and if I was a rich man.
Yeah. Yeah. Money, you were saying as well. Yeah. And for bereavement, there are lots.
We had Candle in the Wind, and we had Ben by Michael Jackson.
I think that's lovely. Ben, does everyone know the song Ben by Michael Jackson? It's about the death of a pet, right?
No, that's very interesting because one of the comments that came up here was someone being worried about their pet, and it fell under bereavement. So
Wow!
that's
So
quite
even those,
interesting.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, thank you. That's brilliant. So, what we think is quite nice to provide you with is some kind of guideline for success using songs. We produce material, we use songs a lot, so it's nice to share what you know. And I think, first of all, what you have to do is certainly, so you have to breathe, relax, you have to sort of clear your minds of the preconceptions, by which I mean the way that songs are usually employed, or almost always employed in textbooks, which is, in my opinion, very, very, very poorly and mystifying, really, in the way they're using. And remember that, the journey into using the possibilities that are there within songs and song lyrics is enormous.
And then the next step is to select a song that suitably addresses the issue that you would have already highlighted. And as you will see, there are different kinds of relationship issues, or bereavement issues, or financial issues. So selecting a song then becomes, a bit more fine-tuned.
That's it, and I've already selected the song, didn't I, first? So familiarise yourself with that song. And you might think, well, I know that song already. But that's not quite what I mean. I mean, it's very rare when I think people know a song inside out. They often find other things about it. So re-familiarise yourself, I suppose, might be more. Listen to it, sing along to it, watch the video that goes with it, if applicable and if useful. Immerse yourself in the song. because that's really going to help with the activities that come out of it.
And then listening to the song is not enough. You need to read through the lyrics, because sometimes, due to different things like connected speech, you listen to a song and the sound of the song, the words sound different to what's actually being sung. So you need to sort of make sure you have the right copy of the lyrics, because even sometimes lyrics can be a bit misleading. Get the copy of the lyrics, read through them, identify where there can be little gaps or pronunciation issues so that you are aware of them.
Think about the song's themes, and they're not always as obvious as you think. Songs can be really quite ambiguous sometimes. You have to judge, I think, whether that would be useful. Whether that might be a nice way in when it's a little bit ambiguous.
But what's good with technology now is that very often you can Google the theme of the, because you might think that the song is about something, but actually it's about something completely different.
I mean, and then you've got song meanings, where you see how many different opinions there are on some songs. But I think perhaps you've got to be it's got to have a fairly strong theme, generally speaking, to do something with it.
Right, and then, so now that you know your students, you know the song, you have to take time to brainstorm the activities that will suit them, that will be applicable to your students, to the theme, to your learning objectives, and what will challenge them so that they will achieve these learning objectives.
I've noticed often that there's a lack of confidence, I think, with using songs. But I'd like you to really, really try to be confident using them. They're a great text type. They have real pedagogic purpose, and if you keep that in mind, rather than think they're just some filler or gap fill or thing at the beginning or thing at the end, then I think that's a mistake. You just got to not lose sight of what I said a few minutes ago, in the fact that students often remember their lessons for 15, 20, however many years ago with a song. So it's very, very special what's going on there. So I've got an activity here which is really condensed from what it is from a book that we're working on called Top 10, Teaching Tracks Top 10. And it's a very generic thing. And everybody know this song, or most of you know this song, a very well-known song. Really quite generic. But if we're looking at what we're trying to achieve here, in terms of the theme or the connection with what we're talking about today. For example, if a friend was going through a bad time, what advice would you give them about tomorrow being better? So that's the lead-in, if you think of some of the things that Brian just talked about. Some reason for getting involved with it. If you want a language purpose, which I think it's nice to have, could be something like the language of advice. Yeah, words connected with it as well. Cheer up, things will get better, it could be worse. Look on the bright side, as Monty Python said. In a year from now, etc. Anything that you don't think is too patronising, you think would be useful for them. We also have here some instructions for teachers. I won't go through them, but you might want to kind of read up into different ways. I mean, fundamentally what we thought with this one was there's 3 verses and a chorus, and you could divide the class up into 3. You could plan to work on the chorus together. You could do certain activities to set up where they're going to mime and they're going to act out. It's quite a simple song, a lovely song, but really quite simple, and therefore making it useful for a variety of levels. And then, from the student's point of view, you got the kinesthetic aspect. So after they've familiarised themselves with the lyrics and they've decided how they're going to represent the words of the song. I haven't got an example for you, unfortunately, because it's not just about that might take a while. But then they can perform it in front of the rest of the class. If they're worried about performing it as in singing it, the performance could take could be done in another way. Like I say, by miming or by representations of the songs in any other way. Of course, though, if they're confident to sing it along. And it could be put together. So they perform the textbook, they perform the materials. By way of doing that and working all together on the chorus.
Right, so did you understand all of that? Or was it just really confusing?
I did.
because I'm going to share with you something I did 2 years ago. And it was the first time I used a song in the classroom, never having done it before. So I chose the same song, funny enough, but a completely different lesson. And the first thing is obviously get to know your students, because the whole one of the overarching themes about this conference so far was about inclusion, making sure that you understand your students so that they all feel included. So get to know your students. My class was a group of 16 to 19-year-olds. Now, I'm from the UK, so we have lots of people coming in with different backgrounds, different languages coming into the UK. And these kids, all of them were from different backgrounds. Some of them came on their own, and they're what we call LACs, or looked after children. So they're on their own, and they're the responsibility of the government. But the problem I found in that class was that they sat in all different areas of the classroom. They were, visually very disconnected, and I felt that as a class, they were disconnected. So I needed to do something about that. So first of all, before I can come up with a solution, I had to understand the problem. And the problem I felt was that because they came from all different backgrounds, they all had a different L1. And then without something common, like a language, there was nothing to connect them. So even if they had things, similar interests, hobbies, there was no language to connect them. So they need English. How do we teach them English? What do I do first to get them to work together, to learn as a class together? So I felt that I needed to sort of help them to create friendships and to have some sort of purpose being in the UK. And so my lesson outcome was to inspire friendship and to inspire some sort of hope for their futures. So that was the students. So now the task of planning the lesson. I chose a song because I felt Don't Stop had a certain message. Even though they would have been all too young to know Fleetwood Mac or the song, it doesn't matter. I felt that the song had the right message, which was don't give up. I felt the song had some useful language in there. I felt that it was repetitive, so it could reinforce a certain vocabulary that I may have wanted to teach them. And it was a fairly easy song to follow. So if they heard it, they can sort of understand it. Okay, so that's choosing the song. And the message. So then now the lesson. Now, at the start of the lesson, when I came into the class, I brought with me a guitar. And I sat it down in the corner of the classroom, and it drew some interest, but I paid no attention to it yet. Carried on with the class. So the class started with a bit of a warm-up. Little pictures, get them to look at stuff, get them to elicit some vocabulary, get the interest going. And then, what we did, we listened to the song. Does it fit with the pictures that we just looked at? Do you recognize any of the words that we just elicited? And yes, smile came up. Okay. And then after that, I looked at the second verse, so we broke the lyrics down to a little bite-sized portion. And then we had a little discussion about what it might mean, the second verse, tying it back into the pictures that we had initially looked at. And after that, they get to listen to the song again, they got the full lyrics, so they can then try and reason out the message behind the song, which is not to give up, which is look forward to a new day, have some hope. And we had a nice little discussion about that, and I said to them, if you want to sing along, sing along. Didn't quite sing along, but that's okay. What drew the interest was the guitar at the end. So I felt I had achieved my outcome, because at the end of the class, instead of sitting in different areas across the classroom, they came together in the front, picked up the guitar, they tried to replicate the song they had just heard. None of them had any, music lessons or anything like that. But the point was they came together as a group, they were laughing, they were sharing, they had something in common. They had an instrument, they had a song, and they had some new English words. And I felt to me mission accomplished using the song. Okay?
Okay, so now revisiting the sheets that you've got in front of you. We haven't got a huge amount of time for this, but if you could just have a think of something along the lines that you've heard from me and Carol that you do with the particular song. So pick one song out. Maybe we probably only have a chance for you to pick one of the two songs. And what sort of things would you do with that? Where would you go with that? Thinking of your students. I know you've all got different students, but try and decide where you'd go with the song you chose. That's why you need to know your song. Just one or two ideas is absolutely fine, or just one idea for one song. Okay, folks. Sorry to stop you, but we're running. The time just flies by. So I'm going to pass around a fake mic, and I'm going to ask you. I have some ideas there. I'm going to ask you to talk into the fake mic. We'll see why later, maybe. To outline. So if you'd like to listen to this group in the fake mic, would you like to share with the rest of the class? Excuse me, please. Hello, could you please listen to one group at a time? Thank you. So you were talking about Stand By Your Man. You had some nice ideas I heard there. Would you like to share?
Yeah, sure. Fake mic, it doesn't do it.
No.
So we were, so our point was point number 1, which is about abuse, and we talked about the song Stand By Your Man by Tammy Wynette, and how that in itself could lend itself to a whole activity about perhaps gender roles, discussion about gender roles, and it could even be a generational thing. I mean, when that was written in the early 1960s, this notion of standing by your man had a much stronger draw than it does nowadays. Nowadays we walk away from our men. So I think definitely there's a huge scope for discussion.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Is anyone brave enough to talk into the fake mic? One more group, we just got time for that. Did you do anything with Ben that you'd like to share?
No, we looked at Feed the World.
Okay, would you like, talking into the fake mic, would you like to talk about it?
We thought about Feed the World because when it first came out in the 80s, it was specifically for Africa. But does this now apply to people's own countries?
Mm-hmm.
For example, in South America, Brazil, Colombia, Venezuela, there's a lot of poverty.
In Britain.
And even in the UK, there's a lot of
food banks at all time high, yeah.
Even in Malta nowadays as well.
Yeah.
So it's become a sort of, rather than just an African concern, it's become...
So connecting something from the past with the present outcome.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I'm sure you've got lots of lovely ideas, but unfortunately we're nearly out of time. So we're going to use the fake mic, are we?
We can do.
Okay, let's do that then. Oh, I'll just nip through this. We've arrived there.
So, Chris, what do you do?
I'm a teacher.
What do you teach?
People.
What do you teach them?
English.
You mean grammar, verbs, nouns, pronouns, conjugation, articles, particles, negatives and interrogatives?
That too.
What do you mean that too?
Well, I also try to teach them how to think and feel. Show them inspiration, aspiration, cooperation, participation, consolation, innovation. Help them think about globalization, exploitation, confrontation, incarceration, discrimination, degradation, subjugation. How inequality brings poverty, how intolerance brings violence, how need is denied by greed, how isms become prisons, how thinking and feeling can bring about healing.
Thank you.
For those of you who know that, thank you very much. We can't take the credit for that.
Yeah, we didn't make it up.
That came from a poem called Teacher by Alan Maylie. There's a few bits that we've missed out in order to perform it. So we're coming towards the end now. It's not as if we're here showing our products or our ideas. Brian did say though, Brian Tomlinson in the last talk did say the course books haven't fundamentally changed. I would agree with him, with the exception of what we're working on, which is a course book of really in-depth, at times controversial issues come to the fore. We have at the moment on the website, etc., are these books here, exploiting the one Carol is now showing. Is materials based on Pink Floyd's Money. The one Carol is now showing now is I don't know why I've got an American accent for that. Is based on Katy Perry's Raw, dealing with rights for women, etc. That one's about good and bad things about money, philanthropy, and also greed, etc. And then the very famous David Bowie's Space Oddity, where it explores lots of different things, actually, including things like the afterlife. So pretty big topics. And we think they really fit into a new style of course book that Brian might be interested in, actually. Maybe I'll write him an email. So thank you very much. I'm at IATEFL 2020. Carol might come down for the day, but I'm talking on my own. But I'm actually working on a second book, which is called 2020 Vision, which is using songs to educate, enlighten, and address social issues. And that the talk is sort of related to how to do that and how these issues can be looked at, really. So issues social, personal, and political, as we just touched on today. And if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask us, contact details there. Please feel free to take a photo of that. The website is teachingtracks.co.uk. We have a Facebook group that's very, very active. What I try to do in the Facebook group is to bring people together that really, really like